Is it working? And if it is working, why isn't the president getting credit?
Well, Bidenomics is a policy that puts the American people first.
House has approved a $40 billion aid package for Ukraine.
$400 million.
A $2 billion aid package.
$1.2 billion.
$3 billion.
Another $1 billion.
$325 million aid package to Ukraine.
That talks about and focuses on building the economy, as the president often says, from the middle up, middle out, and the bottom up, not the top down, and in very practical terms.
Nearly 60% of voters think Biden's policies are making the economy worse. Close to 70% of Democrats want somebody else to run for president.
And I think what you're going to see is a real contrast in priorities between our administration that continues to focus on raising pay and lowering costs for workers and middle-class families.
Overall inflation is up nearly 16% from January 2021 when Biden took office to last month. Grocery prices also up nearly 20%.
Nobody wants these electric vehicles unless you're an elite that can afford them. People in my district sure as hell don't want them. So keep going. Why are we doing this? Is it over CO2?
Yeah, we're doing it for 3 reasons. Even though the EV revolution is going to happen anyway.
Oh, it's a revolution caused by...
I would love to be able to answer your question, Congressman.
Yeah, okay.
Even though we think that transition is happening in the automotive sector no matter what, there are 3 things that we think are not guaranteed. Will it happen quickly enough to materially help with climate change? Will it happen on equitable terms that are available to people who aren't wealthy and might not be able?
Short on time.
If I could just please finish my answer.
Let's drill on the climate change.
Just finish the third. Will it be made on American soil or not?
It's about CO2, isn't it?
How's that?
What percent of the atmosphere is CO2 that we're chasing here?
I'm sorry?
What percent of the atmosphere is CO2 that we're chasing here? Because you talked about climate change.
I don't know the percentage of atmospheric gases.
You don't know the percent of the atmosphere.
What I can tell you is that climate change is real. We got to do something about it.
Yeah, this one's called autumn, sir. So
I'm sorry?
This one's called autumn right now, so yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't make out what you said, sir.
This climate change right now is called autumn, yes.
Yeah, that's the seasons changing, which respectively is not the same thing as the climate changing.
The FAA still uses drones made by Chinese companies, allowing them to inspect the FAA's national infrastructure. And so my question is very direct. Can you commit to reviewing this matter and ensuring that federal taxpayer dollars are not used to fund the operation of these Chinese drones?
We have my commitment that we will put American security first and ensure that there are no vulnerabilities that go unaddressed.
If penalties are levied on the automakers, then this will take money away from the auto workers. Is the president aware that he's literally taking money away from UAW workers by impugning their bonuses?
I just don't think that's the right characterization because it assumes that the auto workers will fail to comply with the law. The automakers will fail to comply with the law.
I don't know if you can justify or how you justify forcing my constituents to pay for EVs and EV infrastructure for coastal elites and wealthy people, but somehow you do.
Well, I need to point out that wealthy people were specifically excluded from the Inflation Reduction Act.
Well, I just gave you the number. Do you dispute that 2/3 of EV owners are owned by people over 100,000 that make over 100,000? Do you dispute that?
Yeah, the first EVs, of course, were.
Do you dispute that?
No, but that number's going down.
Those are the facts. It doesn't matter if they're going down now.
Why were you
the folks
against
that I
cutting the price of
represent
EVs?
can't afford them today, sir.
Why were you against cutting their costs?
All these factors. I'm not against cutting their costs. The market should do it. But you want the government, you want my taxpayers to pay to cut the cost, which isn't cutting the cost.
If you were of the view,
subsidizing
respectfully,
the cost.
Congressman,
Sir,
if you were of the
all
view
these
that there
factors
should be no
combined,
subsidy to propulsion
all these
vehicles,
factors
then are you against oil and gas subsidies?
mean that for
you
every
believe that oil
EV
and gas
sold, sir,
subsidies
at a loss, that the cost of the, as my colleague on the other side, the gas-guzzling pickup truck is higher now to pay for the loss as you kill your administration, and you in particular, kill the auto industry. And I'll remind you, in 2008, after the financial crisis, the federal government bailed out this industry. So while you're here today, will you commit and will you pledge to oppose any effort to bail out the auto industry after you force it into bankruptcy again? Will you do that today, sir?
Congressman, I got started in politics when
I guess the answer is no.
the
I
Indiana
yield.
factory was at risk of being shut down because an elected official in my state tried to block the administration from saving Chrysler. I got involved and stood with the UAW to save those jobs, and I'll always be with auto jobs being preserved.
2/3 of Americans to be using electric vehicles. They don't work.
in northern Minnesota in the cold weather today. And I want to just share something with you. Mr. Garamendi, and I agree with him, buy American. The administration went ahead with an MOU with the DRC in January of this year. Well-documented child slave labor in the DRC, hardly any environmental standards. And your administration chose to enter MOUs with the Congo, where 15 of the 19 mines are owned by the communist country of China, where they use slave laborers. It's unbelievable that you chose other workers over the American worker. And it's unbelievable that you won't allow you and your administration won't allow mining here in Minnesota and the United States. Your Secretary of Energy, Secretary Granholm, came to the Western Caucus, and I happened to ask her, I said, do you know the only nickel mine in the United States today? She couldn't answer that. Do you know where it is?
No, I don't.
It's in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, the Eagle Mine. It's the gold standard. And she's our energy secretary. And do we need nickel, cobalt, and copper for these electric vehicles as we transition? The answer is yes. We need to mine here in America with American miners, American labor. We can do it. The biggest copper nickel find in the world, and your administration just banned it.